I'm going to share with you why this one post that I put in a group has gotten what I'm going to call at this point 400 plus hate comments, and how you can actually use this to attract your perfect fit clients, to understand who are your perfect fit clients on social media. We're gonna deep dive today into the human behavior principles and really how you can make this work for you. That aside, I want to get really clear. I've put the title of this live as 400 plus hate comments. The post has been up for 24 hours. At the moment, we're actually right now, as we go live, at 346 comments. But the post has been non-stop for 23 hours. Like the last comment was 11 minutes ago. So I'm gonna call it 400 because I'm pretty confident we're gonna get to 400. The other thing I should probably clarify before we get started is that it hasn't all been hate. So there's actually been a lot of people on there agreeing, and it's not good, bad, or indifferent if someone agrees with your opinion or disagrees, but I want to be clear that it's not all hate. But obviously, majority of the stuff that's going on this post is pretty emotional stuff. And so for the the benefit of being able to understand what we're going to talk about today, that's why I've put that as the title. Just so you know, if you're in Business Builder, you're going to get this uploaded to your portal as well. So if you ever want to go back and listen to it, it's going to be in your Business Builder portal, easy to find. The reason that today's live is so important is because I'm going to show you how you get to choose who you work with. Because here's the thing, right? Whether you've been in business for 5 minutes or 50 years, it's pretty normal for most of us, to a degree, to think that we have to wait for the rest of the world to come to us for them to become our clients. And even if you're proactive in your strategy on social media with referrals, affiliate programs, email marketing, networking, like even if you're doing those things, you're taking the tangible doings, there's still a degree within your being where sometimes, most of the time, you probably think that you have to wait for others to come to you, and kind of feel unsure on who your perfect fit clients are, or how to tell from social media if they are your perfect fit client. Because you're probably clear on who you love working with and who inspires you and lights you up. But then the challenge is, how do I read these people from their social media profile? And so what ends up happening is you spend a whole bunch of time doing the things on social media, connecting, adding friends, writing content, trying to respond to people, trying to add people as connections on LinkedIn or friends or followers on Instagram. But you never really know whether or not these are people that you would with certainty be able to say, these are my perfect fit clients. And that's the purpose of today. I'm going to show you that it is absolutely possible. Yes, from 400 plus hate comments on a post, we're going to deep dive into what people are really saying on social media with what they're saying and not saying. So if that's you, if you're here, strap in. I don't know how long we're going to go for. You can ask questions. I'm really inspired to share this with you today, because I know it's going to make a difference. So here's the thing. The post, let's be clear what the post actually says. It says this: if you signed up to a free event, you're not getting trained, you're getting sold to. Consumer becomes the consumed. And for the benefit of this conversation, I'm going to put in the chat what the post is, so you can actually see it as well, because it's all well and good me reading it out, but you can see it in the chat now, right? So that's what the post said. Now, here's the thing. People got super emotional super quickly, and they're still getting emotional. And when something happens like that, whether it's personal or professional, you want to ask yourself why. Why is there a reaction? And we can talk all woo-woo and talk about not getting attached and all the rest of it, and that's really great. But this is a brilliant opportunity for you to understand what is going on around you and how you use it to your advantage. So here's the thing. The post itself was not the problem. The post is the post. The post is actually meaningless until somebody makes it mean something. And what people make it mean is actually a reflection of what they perceive to be missing and what they are on a quest to fill as their void. I'm going to say that again because this is not just relevant to social media. This is your personal life, your partner, your children, your best friend, and your business, your clients, your future clients. So let me say that again. What you say is meaningless until somebody adds the meaning to it. And the meaning that they add to it is what they perceive to be missing, their void, and what they are trying to fill that void up with, which is what they value. So what they perceive to be missing is actually the thing that they value the most, because you don't value anything that you perceive you've got enough of. Now, by the way, this is perception, it's not actuality, right? So I hope you're ready to go down the rabbit hole with me. So I'm going to explain a whole bunch of human behavior principles and then use this post to demonstrate why people got so emotional specifically about this post, so that you can see when you're trying to craft your message, how you can craft it in a way that attracts the right people and repels the wrong people. Because your business isn't just about attracting the right person or right clients. The speed in which your business grows largely has to do with your ability to not only attract the right people, but repel the wrong people. And I'll tell you why. Because if you just keep bringing in people, but they're not always the perfect fit people, very quickly your energy will start to drain. You will be working with what I have labeled in previous lives in this group as 1 to 5 level clients. Now, this is no disrespect. Everybody deserves to be served, and everybody is at different concentric spheres of awareness and life and their typical journey relative to your business and the problem, but just generally their life. So this is not a disrespect. In fact, we've all been 1 to 5 at some point. You can't transcend until you go through each of the steps. But for you as a service provider, if you are bringing in people who are not the perfect fit people, then what happens is they drain your energy. So your message, the content that you share, it has many different roles. And one of those, it's not vanity metrics. It's not getting engagement for the sake of getting engagement. It's actually about connecting and disconnecting. Connecting with the people that you would love to serve, the people who have the same values, the same voids, the same way of thinking, the same drive as you, and repelling the people that don't. But often as service providers, we create a piece of content, we create a program or an offer, and we think we want to give it to everyone. And then what happens is, very quickly, you give it to everyone and you are drained. So your business message and your content is both attraction and repulsion. And it's your job to know how to master the message to attract and repel, pardon me. There is a classic marketing tactic that is applied, that is taught, that we've all done, by the way. But basically that marketing tactic is to give a whole bunch of free stuff away. And I don't mean free content. I want to be really clear that there is a difference between value add content that shares your message, builds a connection, attracts and repels, versus you putting in service delivery and giving for free. Now, this marketing tactic is designed to put you or put your audience out of fair exchange. And when people are out of fair exchange, they stack up shame and guilt. Subconsciously. You have contributed to them stacking up shame and guilt, which I know for every single one of you here that has commented and hit like, because I know each of you, what I consider to be quite well, and I know your ethos and your values. I know that you are not trying to put people out of fair exchange. I know that you genuinely want to serve and make a difference. But when we go out and give away a whole bunch of free service, not content, service, what we do is we put people out of fair exchange. They feel guilt subconsciously, which then leads to them making a purchasing decision. Because they feel guilty because they've taken something from you and they perceive that they're out of fair exchange because it was for free. So then, to overcompensate for their guilt, they then purchase. Now, here's what happens. They then start to resent you. And it's never truly your fault, by the way. This is just the way that human nature works. But they start to resent you because they never really wanted the thing anyway. Or if they did, the decision that they made to have the thing, to work with you, to do the program, was actually not made from an empowered place. It was made from a shame and guilt place. Now, here's the thing. What is shame? What is guilt? Shame is where you perceive you've done something that has caused yourself more drawbacks than benefits. So when they go and purchase your thing out of guilt, they then feel shame, internal. Guilt is a perception that something you did or didn't do caused someone external to you more drawbacks than benefits. So, listen carefully. You give away free stuff, they feel guilty because they perceive that they caused you more pain than pleasure by taking your thing for free. Out of that guilt, they then go and purchase the thing, but now, because they did it out of guilt, not out of empowerment, now internally, they've stacked up shame, because shame is where we perceive we've done something to ourselves or not done something to ourselves that has caused us more pain than pleasure, more drawback than benefit. What a beautiful dynamic we are now entangled in. So guess what happens? Eventually that resentment builds up, they start to complain about you. And this was not your intention. Your intention was to serve. The reason that the post in this particular group had people, literally, there are people in there, there's so many things going on in there, right? There's close to 400 comments, but generally there's lots of people telling me that I'm shaming them for giving away free stuff. There's people in there defending their free offers. If you've got to go into defense, it's because you're not authentic, you're not balanced, right? So there's people in there defending their offers. There's people in there sharing their offers. There's people in there getting emotional and telling me that I'm gaslighting them. Now, they've been on a rampage writing their comments for the last 23 hours. I think I've responded to 2. So you can see here why people are getting upset about it is because the truth hurts. Your inner wisdom already knows this truth, and so does theirs. Because as Galileo said, you can't teach a man anything that he doesn't already know. So what that means for your message is that when you put a message out into the universe, out into the world, when people respond, it's not you having taught anyone anything, because you and everybody else already has everything you need within you. You already have your inner wisdom, so do they. When we put a message in front of people, it's simply because it connects and resonates with what's already within. Now, for people to get so emotional about a message, in this case, this post, whether they realize it or not, it resonates for them. Because they wouldn't have an emotional reaction or take a motor function action responding unless it resonated. But this is where we look at our 1 to 5s versus our 6 to 10s. So it resonates, but the reaction demonstrates where they're at. Meaning this. It resonates, but their reaction demonstrates where they're at and what they're ready for. So you either are going to attract your 1 to 5 level clients who will fight you the whole way. It'll be energetically draining. They won't be open and ready for full truths that you've got to share. And they typically will require a lot of time outside of sessions. And this is where you start to become drained, because you're having to navigate the pathway of explanation in order for them to be able to understand what it is you're trying to serve them with. Versus your 6 to 10ers, who have already been on the learning and involvement journey relative to your message, relative to the challenge, the symptoms and the problems you help them with. And the shift is so much smaller, and you say one thing, it's a drop in the ocean, it ripples out, and they take responsibility and they run with it. And these are the people that actually have inspiring results. And you're in partnership with these people. It's not you leading, it's not them being above you because they're your client and they're paying you. You are in partnership. So this message, your message that you put out there, is not about you getting vanity metrics. It's not about you only attracting, it's also about you repelling. So I want to take you one step further so you can actually learn or start to understand what's possible, because of course I'm not going to teach it here. There is not the capacity to fully teach it here, and for some of you that are already working with me, you know that we do this in the Perfect Prospect program. But today is to give you the ability to start to flex your muscle in being able to read people's social media profiles to understand if they are your potential perfect fit clients, so that you're not wasting time actually connecting with a whole bunch of people that you should be repelling versus attracting. So here's the thing. People have public personas. In fact, we all have public personas. This is human behavior. You can't escape it, and neither can the rest of the world. And this is why it's so beautiful. The deeper you know yourself, the deeper you can understand others. And this is really important from a business perspective, because you actually are in control of who you work with and when you work with them. But if you don't understand your personas, then it makes it difficult to see the personas of others. Now, whatever somebody projects publicly, to the same degree of energy that they are putting in to project that persona publicly is to the same degree that they are hiding the opposite in private and in shame. Now, this is not judgment. This is not, I'm gonna use me as an example so that there's full disclosure, and hopefully you can start to think about how you place this in your own personas, and then how you place it in the personas of the people you'd love to work with. So let's use an example. Your business, the challenges that you help people with, is directly correlated to the thing that you perceive to be most missing in your life. It is your deepest void. Every single person has one, has several actually, but you have a driving one that you've had for most of your life. It gets developed, yes, as always, in early childhood. Now, once you know what your void is, it becomes a whole lot easier to understand and see other people's voids. The thing that you think is missing, you are trying to take for yourself and also give to others. Now, this is not just from a business perspective, by the way. We're using business as the context because we're in a business group, but you are trying to give the world the thing you perceive to be missing in your family, in your social influence, in your career or at work. In all interactions with people that you have, you are looking to give the same thing that you perceive to be missing. Now, actuality, it's not missing. It's just your perception. And most people are trying to run away from this thing, this void. But you don't need to avoid your void. Once you learn how to embrace the missingness, you understand that this is the thing that helps you to keep expanding your concentric sphere of awareness. So, my void is connection. I perceive consistently and persistently that I don't have enough connection. Now, your void should be very, very clear here when you're thinking about, well, what is my void? Your void is an experience through the senses that is expressed outwardly through a tangible action. So your void value is not traveling on a plane. It's the thing that you connect with traveling on the plane. It's what the traveling on the plane you perceive gives you. Yeah? So the plane is the tangible doing action, but it's the experience that you perceive through your senses to be most missing that it gets expressed through the action of traveling on the plane. So if my void is connection, I perceive I'm constantly feeling disconnected from myself and others, I will put on a persona that looks like I'm connected, because I actually am. It's not missing, but in my perception, it's missing. So I encourage you to think about, look at your personas and what you're projecting, because that also gives you hints and clues into what you perceive to be missing. Once you understand what yours is, now you can read others. So how is this related to the post? Well, there's now, let's do a refresh. Let's do a quick refresh. In the 20 minutes we've been talking, we're now up to, 346 comments, 393 reactions. So, how do we use the persona, the void value, to be able to read whether or not someone is a perfect fit client? Okay, how do you use your ability to understand people's personas to identify if they're perfect fit clients? You get clear on the types of voids that you would love to work with. Now, whether you're a coach, a consultant, a psychologist, a counselor, a healer, a form of therapist, if you look at the things that the people, the missions, the energy that you most love working with, and then you drill into, well, what has caused that? What did they perceive to be most missing? You then can read from their profile if there's somebody you would love to work with. So for example, I'm going to use one of you here, but I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name out of respect, but I know that there's one of you here who is a client of mine working with me one-on-one. One of the voids that I love working with in people is when they feel that they're not seen. So how do I read from their social media profile that they perceive that they don't have enough being seen, because I know that I'm going to be inspired and energized to work with them? Well, it's actually pretty simple, guys. If they are talking about if they're talking about being seen, sharing quotes that maybe sprinkle in the word seen or visibility, if they're talking, or if they're showing off, wanting to share a lot, say a lot, do a lot, that demonstrates to me that they actually feel the opposite, which is that they're not seen enough, that they can't say enough, that they can't be seen enough. Now I know to connect with that person. So too on the, the post that everybody's getting emotional about. There's people on here who have spoken, they've been putting forward their offers. People who got on that post and they weren't emotional and they weren't abusive, but they got on there and said, oh, well, this is the offer that I have. It's, this is my free offer. And they weren't emotional. They were showing their offer. They're my people, because they feel like they're not seen. So now I'm going to go through 340 comments and I'm going to pull out those people, and there's about 50 of them, right at last kind of rough guess as I went through. And now there's 50 people who I know sit inside my target audience. So remember that your message, your content, who you would love to work with, everything that you put out there is both to attract and repel. It's not to be loved. It's not to be right. You don't want to waste your time spending it on social media, trawling through groups, trawling through your newsfeed, trawling through hashtags, and feeling lost and guessing. And so then just doing something rather than targeted, focused, understanding action that gives you a return on your time and your investment, your energy, your time, your energy. These are precious resources. So I hope that you've been able to take something from what I've shared today. I feel like it's both simplistic and it's not, and I really get that. It becomes simplistic when you deep dive and you understand it on a much deeper level. I know that we've been here for like 30 minutes. We can't possibly go into it in such depth, but I hope that it starts to give you an understanding that, number one, you are not here to be liked, you're here to serve, and the things that you say are not always going to be liked by everyone, and actually that's perfect, because the DMs that you have, the content that you share, the conversations that you have, the messages that you share, the content that you share, I think I said that twice, is about equally bringing in as well as removing. And I hope that it's given you the ability to start to ask yourself and to connect with yourself and understand yourself on a new level, in a new way. What are your personas? What is it you think is most missing? Because you're on a quest to fill that for you and for the rest of the world. That is the beautiful gift that you have to offer. And then what is it what are the voids, what are the personas in the people that you would love to work with? Because now you can start to look at their social media profiles in a bit of a different way. And it's obviously, it is what we do in the Perfect Prospect program, which is the one after Connect with Content.